All right, just as I promised, it's time to talk impeachment. I'm kidding. Let's review Chapter 7 in The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so this one, I'm going to keep it short because not really that much happened in this episode. But before I get into it, let me just give you a quick reminder that you can listen to the podcast anywhere. The iHeartRadio app, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, anywhere. Just type in Super Dario World. You'll find it right there. Also, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram, at SuperDario_World on Instagram, or follow me on Facebook. The page is called Super Dario World. Trying to keep it simple as possible. Also, for those of you who've been reaching out about my brother's appearance on yesterday's podcast, don't encourage him. That's all I'm going to say. Do not encourage him. He's an idiot. I love the guy, but don't encourage him. Anyway, so all right, let's jump into it. Let's get into The Good, the Bad, and the Mandalorian.
I like those odds.
All right, so as always, let's begin with the good. So, finally, we have a villain. We have a fucking villain. I mean, I thought that Werner Herzog was going to be the guy, but finally, Gus Fring dropped out of nowhere, and we finally have the villain, or at least what looks like it's going to be the villain for the season finale. By the way, his character name is Moff Gideon, which is it's a good name, I guess. Good name, dude. That dude's a great actor, especially for playing a villain. I'm very excited to see what more he's going to do. Drops out of nowhere, throws a wrench in the middle of everything. We finally have consequences, and by that I mean certain character deaths. And so I'm excited. Also, they killed a character that I didn't mind the character, but his face really bothered me. I thought it was very terrible. His face just looked terrible. Anyway, I can't say his name. Quill. I don't know. Whatever. I'm. You know what? I'm actually happy he's dead because again, consequences. I am a big fan of consequences in a story, especially logical ones. I'm also a big fan of villains or anti-heroes. I think that's why I like the Mandalorian, because he's kind of an anti-hero, but I really like villains, and that's what honestly this show has been missing. A sequence of like the problem is that the story, just half of the season was just random missions that didn't really go anywhere. And now at least the next the next episode has to be tied to this one. So episode 1, 2, and 3 are going to be tied to 7 and 8. So at least 5 out of 7 episodes are tied together. At least that's something. And I mean, I guess you could argue that the episode 4 is kind of related to this one as well. I mean, they just presented a character that really bothered me. But okay, so that was the good. So the good, 2 things. 1, finally have a villain. We finally have a villain. Episode 2, second thing, consequences. Now, let's move on to the bad. So pretty much everything else. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating. But I did have a lot of issues with this episode. And beginning with the premise of it was beyond stupid. So the premise of this episode is basically, what's the name of Apollo Creed? I forget his name. What is it? Grief Karga? Is that? Yeah. Grief Karga. I guess that's his name. He sends a transmission to the Mandalorian saying basically like, hey, we have an issue with the Empire here. Let's propose a trade. You come here, you kill Werner Herzog, or his character. We'll kill that guy, and that way both our problems are solved, because that's the dude who's after the kid. And so if you kill the money, you're solving our problem. So we'll forgive and forget, and we also won't have a source for money for that particular project. So you'll be saved as well. So win-win, right? And first off, Apollo Creed, there's a reason why that dude really hasn't been in much, and it's because he's a terrible actor. I would have, and it's also, I don't 100% blame him. I also blame the writers. Now, I would have played that so differently so differently, because while you're hearing that, I mean, any person who's not an idiot would be like, oh yeah, trap. That's a trap, right? Even Baby Yoda was like, yeah, that was a trap. Like, everybody and their mother could be like, trap, 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 trap. And by the way, spoiler alert, turns out it was a trap. Shocker. And surprising nobody that was a trap. But it's one of those things, like, I would have played it differently. Because if you guys remember very clearly, well, I'll just call him Apollo. Apollo basically tells... Apollo does not betray Mando. So if Apollo would have stated that, like, yeah, you tried to kill me, and I never betrayed you. You are the one who betrayed us. I was just doing our job. You betrayed us. So there's no reason for you not to trust me. You're the one who betrayed me. We were friends before. We had a good business relationship, stuff like that. So if they would have tried to play that a little bit, then okay, I could have understand it, pulling on maybe the Mandalorian sense of honor or something. But the way they played it was really stupid. Also, at this point in the story, going back to Navarro would be a desperate move for the Mandalorian. He would actually need to be desperate. And we haven't seen him be in a point where he's actually desperate. Like, the last mission that he had was actually pretty successful. He went, he did his job, he got rid of the bad guys who were going to betray him, and he made some money. So... the last thing we saw him do was a resounding success. However, then he thinks like, all right, I'm just going to do this desperation, because it's a desperate move. Going back to Navarro is desperate because you already know that there's two sides there that want to kill you, and you're going to bring the kid too. It's really, really stupid. So I did not like that. And to make matters even worse about this premise, all right. And spoiler alert again, from the for the Mandalorian part of this podcast, I will talk about bounty hunters. But the issue here, according to Apollo, is that, all right, the Empire came in force to Navarro, and now they basically they don't let me use the guild the way I wanted to, or they're suppressing the guild and all that stuff. You know what you could do? You could move. Like, as far as I could tell, the Bounty Hunters Guild is a fucking bar. You can go literally to any other planet, to any other bar, and be like, all right, I'm setting shop here. All you have to do is make sure that they send you the trackers there. That's it. Just call your contacts and be like, hey, the Empire's here. That's not good for business. I'm going to move. So it's like, even if it's a little bit out of your way, you'd be like, hey, at least I'm not dealing with the fucking Empire. Also, and this really infuriates me, the solution to his problem was said by him on, like, episode 3. Now, you guys remember when the Mandalorian asks Apollo, like, what are they going to do with the kid? And Apollo basically says, like, I don't know, I don't care. But if you have an issue with it, go to Coruscant and tell the Republic, and tell the New Republic about it. Guess what this fucker could have done? The exact same fucking thing. If the Empire's in your backyard, you could go tell the New Republic. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to be like, oh, we don't want the Empire to have a foothold here, apparently, because it's apparently a good planet. For some fucking reason, it's ugly as fuck and it has fucking dragons. But but why doesn't he just do that? I mean, clearly he can still send transmissions. Why not just send a transmission or send a bounty hunter? You know what bounty hunters tend to have? Fucking ships. So, the premise was just stupid. It was beyond fucking stupid. Then, from there, so that really annoyed me. It was beyond stupid. From there, we see the Mandalorian go and collect his buddies that he'd been making throughout the season, right? And that's where we're talking about what's this actor's name? Well, I forget. Quill. He goes picks up Quill and hires him for services, and it turns out that Quill has a droid. Oh no! Before that, he goes and picks up Kara. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. So he goes back to the planet of Episode 4, and he picks up Kara, who is the shock trooper that helps him on the Seven Samurai episode. Right. I still don't like that actress. Again, I don't think she was good. I don't think she was terrible. She was just a little bit closer to bad than to good. I was impressed. I don't like her. I just don't like her. I didn't like her on Deadpool. I don't like her here. Anyway, so from her, the last thing I remember, she was trying to lay low, and the first thing we see is that she's getting in a fight in the middle of a fucking bar. You know what's a great way not to lay low? Getting in a fight in the middle of a fucking bar, especially for money. So that was stupid. But she agrees to go with Mando because they're going to be killing Imperials, and she's like, all right, cool, that's what I do. I mean, I was a rebel shock trooper, so now it's all right. Let's go kill Imperials because it's my thing. Apparently, it's my hobby. I came here to this planet to find peace, but I've been just hunting down raiders and getting in fights in bars. So why not just go and fucking kill some Imperials? That seems like fun. That seems like a good use of my time. Anyway, so they pick her up. Then they go to pick up Quill, or hire him to basically protect the child. And it turns out that the bounty droid that was there has been reprogrammed by Quill. As we know, Mando has some issues with droids. And then we have the stupidest fucking sequence ever of a droid learning how to do fucking stuff. Who fucking cares? You know what you could have done? That was just such a waste of my life. And I think it was like 2 minutes. It was eternal. It was horrible. It was brutal. No, I think it was like 3 to 5 minutes. You know what? It took half the fucking episode. It was brutal. It's. I would have preferred. You know how you could have done that? The dude could have just said, "Oh yeah, I fixed him and reprogrammed him." That's fucking it. That's fucking it. You know what you don't need to know? You know what robots don't need to learn how to do? Learning anything. They're programmed to do stuff, right? They're programmed. The body was supposedly fine. All you had to do was fix the programming, maybe fix a few parts, and the program should have been ready. Now, if you would have argued that, okay, no, we had to fix the programming and all that stuff, and I added in a learning algorithm or something stupid like that, fine, but still, we did not need to see it. All right? It was boring. It's boring. You know why? Because robots have no personality. It's stupid. I hated it. Anyway, moving on. By the way, I just remembered this. Because one of the questions that I had to ask myself, and again, this is me doing mental gymnastics. It's like, all right, why hasn't just the Mandalorian done the exact thing I said that Apollo should have done? So I have this child, and every bounty hunter in the galaxy is coming after me, and the Empire is coming after me because of this child. Why don't I just go to Coruscant and drop him off with the New Republic, right? Why don't I just do that? It's like, hey, the Empire wants this kid, so maybe don't let him have it. That seems like a smart idea. That seems like a logical strategy, right? Well, the only mental gymnastics that I was able to kind of use to kind of explain that is that Mando just doesn't trust the Republic as much as he doesn't trust the Empire. He doesn't like basically authorities. He's a Mandalorian. He follows that code of conduct. They follows their rules. Everybody else he doesn't trust. He doesn't trust governments. That's pretty much the only explanation I could find. And it seems reasonable because when Apollo suggested that, hey, yeah, you should just go and tell the New Republic, Mando said, that's a joke. So that's the only thing that kind of would maybe make sense. But again, it's just me making mental gymnastics to justify something that wasn't really explained. Anyway, so They pack up this crew, and then they're on the ship, and for some reason, Mando and Cara are arm wrestling. Now, I don't fucking get this. I've watched every single episode of this show twice, and at no point have I ever seen Mando as the roughhouser type, like, oh yeah, let's arm wrestle, let's do that. Never, or at least not to this point. We've seen him do like jokes here and there, but never actually seen him be that type of guy. There's a very specific type of guy that does that. I haven't seen Mando do it. So to me, that just seemed off. Now, here was a moment for something interesting to happen. Unfortunately, they keep using Baby Yoda closer to a prop than to a character, and that annoys me. So that in that scene, they used him as a prop. I would have done it differently. So one thing that they maybe could have done is they could have been practicing a move if they had to. Like, imagine if Cara did a move while they were fighting at the bar, and so while they're on the ship, Cara mentions something about that fight, and Mando is like, yeah, well, what are you going to do if somebody has a knife? And Kara's like, well, you retrieve the knife doing this, and Mando's like, that's not gonna work. It's like, all right, let me show you. And so Mando goes after her with a knife. She takes it, and it looks kind of like she's gonna get him with the knife, right? Now, there's a few things that you have to do here, and I don't understand why they don't make Baby Yoda make more noises. I mean, I get it, maybe it's a species thing, but we've seen Yoda talk, and so I don't get if they would have done like ears perk up, eyes widen, and he does like a like he gets a little bit worried of what's happening, and then you know as the roughhousing, she's trying to be like, see, I would have you, blah blah, and so then Baby Yoda, who's been freaked out, like his life has sucked pretty much because a lot of people have tried to kill him, and he's in trouble pretty much every week, and he's seen Mando almost get the crap beat out of him constantly. Try to save him. So I understand him being a little bit jittery. So he sees that, he freaks out, and then he uses the Force on her, maybe blows her away, and there's issues with the ship, or he actually tries to choking, whatever, doesn't matter. But you could see like kind of he's not doing it in the calm way that he did. He's actually doing it in desperation. Then Mando goes over there and like, shh, calm down. And Kara's like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Are you kidding me? Trying to fucking kill me. And Mando's like, he's been through a lot. Just relax. And so Baby Yoda's still a little bit freaked. He's not just calmly there looking at him. He's like a little bit freaked out, kind of like shaking, like like not understanding exactly what happened. So kind of a little PTSD. That would have been way better. You know what that would have made Baby Yoda? A fucking character, right? A fucking character. But nobody listens to me, so what the fuck? Doesn't even fucking matter. Anyway, so they arrive back in Navarro. They meet, and I don't understand this. You bring the droid, and you bring, like, the horses, but the plan is I'm going to leave the droid in the ship because of reasons. I don't like droids. So I'd rather have this droid here messing my fucking stuff than out there actually doing something. Now, there's a logic here, and I think I figured it out. The only reason why you would leave the droid on your ship is because you're worried it's a bounty droid, and you're about to meet with the head of the bounty guild, so you might be worried that he might override him or something. So I can understand that. It's still stupid because I mean, once you wipe a memory, that's how okay, doesn't matter. The point, it was stupid, but again, mental gymnastics. Anyway, so they meet. And they travel then with Apollo and a couple of other bounty hunters, three other bounty hunters, and they're walking towards Navarro, and they're camping, and out of fucking nowhere, dragons come and attack them. Right? I mean, they don't spit fire, but it's a lizard with wings, so it's a fucking dragon. And they come and they take two of their rides, and they injure, and apparently they're poisonous, so they injure Apollo. And Baby Yoda heals him using his Force powers. Again, just a prop, not really a character. Like he could have been freaked out while they were attacking him. Something. And they also, one of the bounty hunters gets killed. And this is one of those things that it's like, I mean, you live fucking there, right? You live in. First off, it's hysterical that the bounty hunter, that Mandalorian still has terrible luck with wild animals. They just fucking hate him. It's like they see his armor, it's like, oh, fuck that guy. He's shiny. Fuck him. Let's go fuck him up. So he still has terrible luck with the wildlife. But, I mean, if you live in fucking Navarro, you gotta know that there's fucking dragons around, right? And apparently they're nocturnal hunters and they hunt in fucking packs. You would think that they would have some kind of repellent. Something. You know? Something that scares them off. If they know, they're like, oh, well, we can't sleep outside because there's fucking dragons or something. You bring a tent. Something. It was just stupid. It was just, you know what? It was terrible. What's he called? Wildlife. No, survival. It was just terrible survival skills. They didn't know or understand their environment. Anyway, then they go. Then as they're walking back towards Navarro, and okay, the Mandalorian tells Kara, hey, because by that point, Apollo is kind of like freaked out because his arm got healed by Baby Yoda and all that stuff, and he's talking with the other bounty hunters. And the Mandalorian tells Kara, very specifically, keep an eye on those two. And the very next fucking scene, guess what she doesn't do? Keep an eye on those two. Like, they had them, they were walking behind them. They were walking fucking behind the next fucking scene. So Apollo turns around and shoots the bounty hunters, and it was like, oh, okay, well, Apparently, the plan was to betray you. It was a trap, but I changed my mind because Baby Yoda. But it's like, you just fucking said she's going to be keeping an eye on them. And then she just walks in front of them. You know what's really hard to keep an eye on? Things that are behind you. Anyway, so they get that Ex Machina. So they get saved by Apollo. Now Apollo's like, all right, well, new plan. We'll go and we'll kill this guy. And for some reason, now it's a bad idea to bring Baby Yoda. Before it was okay. Before it was cool. Before the plan to bring Baby Yoda was fine. But now it's a bad idea to bring Baby Yoda. I'm guessing, again, it's because their numbers are fewer. Right? You don't have the other 2 bounty hunters, so there's less of them, so the risk is higher. All right, fine. And you know what's the best thing to do when your numbers are low? You get rid of yet another one of your crew. So, Quill takes Baby Yoda, and he's running him back to the ship, right? He's rushing him back to the ship. They stay on comms, and basically, the Mandalorian, Apollo, they reach the town, and for some fucking reason, Werner Herzog does not think it's a good idea to... But first off, I was really annoyed of the way that they captured the Mandalorian, the way that he was just walking. Like, the dude was clean. Like, his armor was fucking clean. He had full armor on. He was walking, like, no issue. They weren't even trying to force him. You know, imagine somebody's trying to kill your kid or a kid you're responsible for, they would kind of have to drag you. Like, if I were a stormtrooper, I'd be like, you know what? That looks kind of suspicious. But I'm assuming, again, me doing mental gymnastics, they let him through because it was a trap already. Right? Gus Fring had a trap for them set up, so fine. Let's accept that. So he goes into the bar. Werner Herzog decides that, okay, I don't want to wake up the baby that I want to fucking murder. I mean, how stupid can you get? How stupid can you fucking get? This guy wants to kill the kid, and your excuse to not showing it to him is like, oh, he's asleep. You don't want to wake the baby. He wants to permanently put him to sleep. What the fuck is wrong with you? I have no idea how much fucking money the people who wrote this are getting paid, but they're getting paid way too fucking much. And I mean way too fucking much. Anyway, that's when Gus sends his transmission to Werner Herzog, and it turns out that it was a trap, and so the stormtroopers they blow out the windows there. For some reason, they don't hit Apollo, Mando, or Kara. They survive. Everybody else gets killed. The ship with what's his name, Moff Gideon, lands, and Moff Gideon basically says, like, you have no idea how much important this thing is to me. You have no idea what you were carrying. Blah 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 blah. Mando tries to talk to Quill. That activates some what's they're called? Scout troopers to their location. By the way, how did they know that? I don't fucking know. Because as far as I know, you can't really track that type of transmission. But, again, me doing mental gymnastics for them, and assuming that you can't track that type of transmission because we didn't see them try to track shit, right? We didn't see that, but whatever. I'm assuming that an Imperial starship detected where the Razor Crest landed, and so the scout troopers know exactly where that ship is going to be, and so as soon as they got the green light for it, they're like, all right, let's just head there because they're probably going to head there. That's the only logical explanation that I could find for that. Anyway, so they kill Quill and they take Baby Yoda. Right? That was actually pretty cool. That was a great moment. Again, consequences. Consequences are good. They could have just been like, oh yeah, they captured him and would have been stupid. No, they killed him, and not him, but also his fat T-Rex. They killed them both, which is good. It was always good. Consequences are always good. The thing that I don't get, and this is the part that I'm actually interested in, is why the fuck is Gideon talking to the Mandalorian? It sounds like they kind of already knew where it was, so they should have just blasted that bar into oblivion and it's a win. I mean, he did have a starship, so it's just you just get there, you blow it into oblivion, and you win. So we'll see. I mean, it was left kind of in a cliffhanger, and by kind of in a cliffhanger, I mean in a total cliffhanger. So we have to wait and see what the fuck happens. But so far, I like the ending. It was good consequences, and I like that it's set up as a shootout. If I have to make, you know what, I'm not gonna make a guess because I have a pretty good guess of what the next episode's gonna be, but I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys. I'll just afterwards, if I was right, I'll tell you. If I was wrong, I'll admit it. I hate admitting when I'm wrong, but I can do it. It's fine. But okay, that's it for the bad. That's it for the bad. Let's move on to the Mandalorian. All right, so bounty hunters in... well, let's talk a little bit about bounty hunters, because the Mandalorian is a bounty hunter, and this episode was about the Bounty Hunter Guild. Now, I talked before about the criminal element, who was in charge of the criminal underworld after the fall of the Hutts and all that stuff, and this is very different. Bounty hunters are very different than just normal criminals or mercenaries. Actually, bounty hunters are closer to mercenaries than anything else, but they're not exactly that, especially in the world of Star Wars. Now, in the universe of Star Wars, bounty hunters basically get hired by somebody. Well, in the real world, like here, the government pays people to... Bounty hunters are people who go track down people who are skipping on their bail. And that's basically... They're paid by... what's it called? It's not moneylenders. What's their name? The people who... Bail collectors? Bail bondsmen. I think they're paid by bail bondsmen. Here in the Star Wars universe, they can actually kill. It's like they're hired by a client. Could be anybody. Or could be the law. And so they're hired by them and to either get them dead or alive. Now, if you guys remember in Star Wars, I believe it was Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader, with all the bounty hunters, tell them, I want them alive. So track down the ship, and I want them alive. So they didn't have to capture them. They just have to give them the location and give them the opportunity to catch them alive. And so bounty hunters, they're kind of... They can work in teams and all that stuff, but they're kind of loners. They tend to work by themselves. And they'll work for whoever. So this whole guilt thing has always been kind of ridiculous for me. I can understand, like, there's certain criminal elements that had bounty hunters around. The perfect example of that is the Hutts. So the Hutts always had some bounty hunters around them. And bounty hunters wanted to be near the Hutts because, first off, if they're paying them to be there as guards, it's easy money. Being a guard is easy money. And secondly, because they're just working as mercenaries at that point. Second, you'd get access to the best bounties because you're already there. And the Hutts already trusted you. So it was good. For example, it was really good for Boba Fett to be near the Hutts. Because they would be like, all right, we'll just send Boba. We're sending you first. You get this bounty. So that would be a benefit to staying near the Hutts. Or being near the Empire or whatever. The whole guild doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why you need a bounty hunter guild. Bounty hunters are mostly independent freelancers. The reason why they're mercenaries instead of working for an army or whatever is that so that they can do whatever the fuck they want. They're not part of a criminal enterprise. They're independent employers. So it was very confusing, but I could understand it. The way that they try to phrase it is that you have Apollo and he's kind of like the head there because it's a way that the advantage there is that if they're sending all the jobs through that guy and that guy kind of knows your skill level, he'll give you a job according to the things he thinks you can handle. I could see that advantage. On the other hand, it's like, dude, you're going to miss out on the juicier jobs just because somebody else there who's been there longer, who might be a crappier bounty hunter, just because he was there longer, he's going to be getting it, so you're going to be getting screwed. So again, this whole premise of the planet where the bounty hunter guild was staged at is stupid. Most bounty hunters, again, they operate independently. They're freelancers. They don't need to be part of a guild. It's stupid. Boba Fett never mentioned something of a guild. There's a bounty hunter in the Clone Wars. I forget his name. I'm trying to figure it out. I'll find it. I'll find his name. I'm going through the stupid storyline here. And Cad Bane. Cad Bane is a very interesting dude, and he does a lot of great stuff in the Clone Wars series. Check him out. Check out Cad Bane. He's really, really cool, and he's again also like a cowboy. But yeah, bounty hunter guilds. I think it's something that they made up for the Mandalorian, and I get why. But to me, it's like, dude, imagine if they would have made the Paul's character more than just like the guild head, more kind of like a gangster. That would have been way more fun to watch. Way more fun to watch, because it's like, all right, it's not the honor, it's not the guild thing, it's not that stuff. It's like the gang. Like, you're working for a gang, and the gang is the criminal element of the galaxy is after you, and they're hiring bounty hunters, which are kind of like your buds. So I think it would have raised the stakes a little bit. It would have made Apollo that much harder to cross. Because imagine, this dude's like a scary mob boss, right? But he likes you, and he's been fair to you. So betraying him is not only scary, but it's also like, but he's been fair to me. So I think it would have meant, I don't know. It would have given a little bit more depth, it would have been more weight. But again, they don't pay me for it, so what can you do? I have no control here. Anyway, that's it for today. I don't know if that's it for the week. I might do something tomorrow. I don't know yet. I don't know. We'll see how my night goes. Let me give you a quick reminder again. Any comments, questions, suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or at SuperDario_World. As always, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great weekend.